Hi, this is Todd from One Shot API. You can now use MetaMask smart accounts and delegations in the popular If This Then That automation platform. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build delegated applets in If This Then That. To get started, let's make sure that we have a MetaMask smart account. So if you have the MetaMask extension, click on the account that you want to use and then go to the account details. There's a section here, Enable Smart Account. Just make sure you have that toggled on for the Sepolia network. That's where we're going to be doing the tutorial. And then if we log into One Shot API, you can create a free account if you don't have one already. Let's start by going to the Wallets tab. We need a server wallet to relay our transactions for us when we are not online. So if you don't have one already, click Create a New Wallet, give it a name and a description, select the Sepolia network, and then hit Confirm. That will provision a wallet for you. And then deposit just a little bit of Sepolia ETH into that address. You don't need very much to do a lot of transactions. Once you have that wallet, let's go over to one-shot prompts. We need to import a method to call in our applet, and to keep it simple, let's just do a ERC20 token transfer. So let's select USDC Sepolia, and then click on the transfer function and hit add to my smart contracts. Now if we come to the my smart contracts tab, you'll see it show up here. Now we can call this function from any other of the verified integrations that One Shot API supports. But before we can do that, there's one last step. Back in Wallets, if we go to the details, we need to add a delegation for our account that we want to run delegated transactions for. So connect your browser wallet to this page and hit add delegation. You need to give it a start and an end date. I'll just give it a couple of days before it times out. And then you should see the USDC Sepolia smart contract here as an option. Select that. That will give One Shot API the permission to call this smart contract on your behalf with your server wallet that you just provisioned. So hit create delegation. It'll ask you to sign. And then you'll see this show up down here at the bottom. This is the delegation that you just created. And now we're basically done here in the One Shot API portal. You can now come to ifthisthenthat.com, IFTTT.com, and we're going to create an applet. Before we do that, a little bit of information about this platform. You can create a free account. If you want to use advanced features like multiple actions or queries and code filters, you will need to sign up for a paid If This Then That account. They're pretty cheap. In my opinion, it's worth it. You can do a lot of cool stuff besides what we're doing with One Shot API with If This Then That, but you can also use it for free. So let's start by hitting create over here. And the first thing we need to do is add a trigger. Every If This Then That applet has a trigger. Hit add, and this one we're going to use Telegram to trigger transactions. Select the Telegram trigger, and let's do new message with key phrase to IFTTT. So this is the first time you're using If This Then That. When you click this box, it'll actually authenticate you against your Telegram account. So make sure you have Telegram on the laptop that you are doing this on. And then also search for IFTTT in the chats and make sure you have a chat open with their official bot, because it's going to be sending us messages. So once you have that, we need a key phrase. I'm going to use send, and then it's going to immediately try to send you a reply. So I'm going to say, okay, sending. Change that to whatever you'd like, but those feel like good phrases for me. Hit create trigger. Now we can add an action. So if we hit add here, we can add a One Shot API action. If we search for One Shot, click on that, and we're going to be executing a contract method as a delegator. So select that. And again, if this is your first time using If This Then That with One Shot API, you will click this box and it will automatically authenticate your IFTTT account against your One Shot API account. It's really simple. Click that and authenticate. And then we need to choose a contract method. So if you click this box, if you have a fresh account and you only have one organization with the transfer function that we imported, you should only see transfer as your option. So we're going to select transfer, and then we need to put in the address that we want to execute as a delegator. So that is this one right here that you just saw me create the delegation for. I'm going to paste that address right there. And then we need to enter our parameters for this contract method transfer. So back in my smart contracts, if we just check out this function, it takes two parameters. It takes a parameter to and a parameter value. So that's what we're going to put, to and value. And for value, let's just send 5 cents. And then the to address can be whatever makes sense for you. I'll just pick another one of my wallets and I'll put that address here. And then there's a memo field. This is a one-shot API specific attribute. This just lets you put reminders for why you sent that transaction if you're going back and looking at your history later. So I'll say if this then that transfer demo. And these other two fields you can leave blank for this tutorial, but this first box would allow you to send native value if you wanted to do that for your application. And then for complicated transactions, you might need to adjust the maximum amount of gas that the transaction is allowed to use. But for most cases, you won't actually have to put anything in that box. But at this point, we can just hit create action and then continue. Change the name of the applet if you want. Hit finish. And you should see it says connected now. And at this point, we should be able to run our applet from Telegram. So if we go back to Telegram, click on the if this then that bot, and we hit the trigger message send. You can see here it replied with OK sending. And in if this then that, you can actually view activity. So this will actually show you all the times that your applet executed. If you click on this, here is our execution. You can see that there were no errors. If we come to One-Shot API and go to transaction history, here is our transfer that we just performed, and we can click on the transaction hash. And if we go to the logs, there is the transfer event, and here is the redeem delegation event from the MetaMask delegation framework. So all of the complexities of using this account abstraction are basically hidden away from you inside of One-Shot API. There's lots of other things that you can do in if this then that. It's a great application that also has a nice mobile application that goes with it. So think of it as like an automation mobile companion to your MetaMask smart accounts. You can do lots of cool things with it. If you have any questions about this or have any ideas for applets for on-chain activities with MetaMask smart accounts, come talk to the team in our Telegram channel and watch out for other tutorials coming soon.